one, and
Yeah.
then just
It's temporary.
oh.
Are we live?
Yeah.
We just
Yeah. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Hi everyone. Ryan's with us again. Right.
Howdy.
Yeah. Ryan has been very active recently.
I keep saying I'm going to be less active because I have so many things to do, but it hasn't worked out that way yet. So I'll just keep going.
Yeah, but
I'm trying.
Yeah. No, you
Go ahead,
had
Johnny.
a lot of fun. I saw your flight. The drone flight, the main drone. Yeah, in China. That was really
right. So the one drone was the one in China was autonomous, right?
Right.
So it was no controls at all. And it had a preset flight, which is the plan for air taxis. And I think that'll happen here. Yeah, air taxis will have that. But the one that you saw that I controlled it
in Austin,
was right here in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
And they can do autonomous flying too, but because of how they're working on the licensing, they can be piloted after just a little bit of training.
Right. Yeah. That's a lot of fun.
It's the future. It's the future. I'm telling you.
Yeah. I'm jealous. Yeah. I'm jealous that you had that experience.
Well, Johnny, come on over. It's not so bad. I'll hook you up.
Okay.
I'm in touch still with the company in China that does that. And then there are a couple of other companies here in the United States that want to do air taxi service for the Olympics in Los Angeles in 2028, Los Angeles, California. But those two companies, they're much bigger, more expensive. They're going to be really for the elite. They're not going to be for everyday people. So,
you mean the ones in China?
No, the ones here. There's some
US.
In the US.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's the ones that are here in the I'm trying to think now. Archer is one of them. Joby is another one of them. And the FAA. So I've been following. I will say this with Trump, one of the things he's done that is good is he's recognized the need to, at least recognize that China's making taking the lead. And so fine, he's saying, okay, we should copy them in some of these things.
Right.
I totally think that's a great idea. They've copied us on a number of things, but we should copy them on things. So we have the FAA is opening up a pilot program for electric vertical takeoff and landing and advanced air mobility aircraft pilot programs. And this is designed to basically create a process where companies can participate in studies, and this can eventually become part of everyday travel. And think about Austin. We have one light rail and no subway. So it would be maybe pretty difficult to retroactively build subway here in the city. We're building skyscrapers like crazy, but this is something you can do very quickly. You can build little landing stations on top of buildings and parks, and then just pre-program things to fly around. It would be very easy to do it.
Yeah, the technology is there for sure.
Yeah. But apparently, you wanted to talk about the other kind of unmanned drones, like the one that Lindsey Graham apparently led the Russians to in Kiev that got blown up.
I suspect everything now, Well, at first, I think Johnny and I we talked to Russian friend the other day. We all agree that we didn't think that Russia killed Lindsey Graham. at least not intentionally. But when I look at the timeline, I think it's I think Johnny forwarded X post the other day. It's about the timeline, about the train, like Lindsey Graham.
Based on Larry Johnson's analysis.
Yeah, he has to take train from Kiev to Poland, and then fly from Poland to Washington D.C. And then I checked the timing of the Russian bombs. It's at the night of the 10th, and very early morning on the 11th. So it's just the time Lindsey Graham he has to leave Kiev at that time to be able to return to Washington D.C. So it's just that time. It's just.
Well, let me ask you a question though. Why is the timeline so important to this? I talked to Larry today about.
Really?
I talked to today. Now I was pretty diplomatic, but there are a few things that have come out, and I think that, I mean, we can talk about the timeline a little bit. It's not horrible, but for example, the claim is that he wouldn't have been able to make it back to the U.S. in time before his death at 8:30 p.m. on the 11th. Okay, so if you want to talk about timeline, first of all, there's a few things. When you're a politician or a diplomat, you go through, and I don't know how to pronounce it, but Poland has a particular airport. Yeah. What is it called? Rzausa? Jasionka? I don't know how to say it. Because there are no direct flights from Washington to that airport. So he would have had to fly to Warsaw. Yeah. And that's like 9 to 10 hours. But then as a politician, he doesn't have to go through lines. Then there's that train, right? That's 12 to 24 hours, 12 to 14 hours. So the total is 22 to 24 hours. And under that assumption, right, they say he arrives in Kiev in the morning of the 10th of July. Now, think about it. He was 71. So it's hard, somebody who's not really a specimen of health and fitness and exercise, his age, traveling 24 hours. Then he spends the whole day in working sessions, PR tours around drone factories, and then turning around and going right back. Typically, so that would be difficult. But he said apparently he needed to get back to the U.S. on Saturday. He had an NBC Meet the Press Sunday morning. So that means he'd be leaving Kiev by midnight train on the 10th, which would be 5 p.m. in Washington, D.C., 12 to 14 hours by train back, then 9 hours by air, and then an hour for going from the train and airport through passport control. So he could have, at the very earliest, arrived back in Washington, D.C. at 4 p.m. on the 11th, which is 4.5 hours roughly before he died. Yeah. So if you were like totally pushing it, then he could have arrived 4.5 hours back before. Yep. Which then you say, okay, then it's perfectly logical that he would have died of a heart attack, especially given the stress of the whole thing. But here's the other thing that's interesting to me. There are EMS people here in the United States who picked him up. Oh. There are hospital workers, ambulance people here in the United States who helped him out of his house. So, I don't think President Putin would have poisoned him.
No, I don't think. Yeah.
No, I don't think that would have happened. Some people have thought that, but I'm just saying it's perfectly logical, especially now that TMZ, they had pictures. Maybe there are others. Fox Carolina News has video of the DC fire and emergency medical staff at his house taking him out. So there's that. So how do you?
And Trump called him about 7, I think.
That's right.
Yeah, Trump called him at about 7 p.m.
Now, when I said that to Larry, I said Trump called him at 7, and Trump validated that he was, that he talked to him.
Tired. Yeah, very tired.
Very tired, right? Now, what Larry said is, well, Trump lies about everything. Okay, that's true. That's true. That's true. But why would he lie about the guy that he has become so close to on policy? Because remember, Trump does have an ego.
I know that, but again, because Larry Johnson kind of say that, and Alexander Dugin, right? How you say? It's how you say?
Yeah,
he kind of push a little bit about that theory. So we try to be open-minded, WenJi and I. We actually, my first thing is, I think there may be some side effect of what. That's our first reaction, actually.
Yeah.
Well, I do think it could have been stress, and they said aortic dissection. So I have a friend who she has now been dead for, I don't know, close to 5, 6, maybe even 10 years now. So about 20 years ago, she was doing some political work in Pennsylvania. I want to say it was Scranton, Pennsylvania. I can't remember exactly the city. Anyway, she had an aortic dissection during the work. Now, that is where her heart, basically, the aorta split open, right?
Yeah.
And you could hear, because she was with somebody, he said he audibly heard her chest pop inside. So, and she went immediately down to the ground. Now, the thing that was wild, they went to a hospital, and by pure, I call it miracle, that hospital has Dr. I think his name is Dr. Zuma or Zima. He's an African man who came over here as a child. He is one of the top heart surgeons in the United States, and he mended her heart within a half an hour of the incident and saved her life. Because her sister had died of this, because it is typically a hereditary problem. Her mother died of this, her sister died of this. So she was saved and lived about 15 years more after that. So the point is that it's one of those things that it's when you have an aortic dissection, it's immediate. It's like instantaneous life and death. And I think that's what happened with him. Especially, like I said, there were these crews there. I don't know why it would be why people go down those other rabbit holes, because it seems difficult. It just, well, look, I mean, yes, again, Trump's a liar, but why would he go through? Look, everybody was surprised. When you woke up, weren't you shocked to hear that? I woke up and I looked at my phone and I was like, Lindsey Graham died? I was like, what?
Yeah, I was shocked. It was the whole X feed that morning was all about Lindsey Graham.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Everybody in the establishment media was shocked. Everybody in the establishment was shocked. So the idea that there was some form of conspiracy around it doesn't make sense, because everybody's first response was shock. Whereas if they were not shocked, then I would be. So anyway, look, here's the point too. Ultimately, the bad outweighs the good when it came to Lindsey Graham.
Yeah, Alexander Dugin said maybe Israel killed him to send Trump a message. Yeah, it's kind of like a warning. We can't
Oh,
take
yeah.
it out of anyone, and you have to, listen to us. Maybe send a ground troop to Iran and or else. Um, I don't know.
Well,
I was think,
they're not as powerful as they want us to believe, Israel.
I hope so.
Scott Ritter, our friend, had wow, last Wednesday we talked about this a little bit, and he said something very interesting. He thinks, and I agree with him on this. He said, no, actually, Trump manipulates everything around Israel, not the other way around. Now, there is reason to, I think, look at that, but I wanted to tell you guys in the context of what you just said about Israel. There's an example of how to deal with Israel in American history that is the best example that I was recently researching, which is in what was it, the 1956 Sinai War.
Okay.
So in Egypt, Nasser had nationalized the Suez Canal. And Suez Canal was, so basically what happened is the British, the French, and Israel conspired to have Israel take over the Suez Canal by force, which meant they also had to come in and take Sinai. And there were issues where Egypt was nagging Israel on the border, but the issue was really sort of an anti-colonial move by Nasser. Israel came in, they seized the Sinai. I mean, it was a military, very fast. I forget how many hours. It was a war that was, you could count it in hours. I want to say maybe 100 hours. And they had seized the Sinai, they'd seized the Suez Canal. And this was all a conspiracy behind President Eisenhower's back by the British, by the French, and by Israel, and totally planned out. So David Ben-Gurion was the prime minister of Israel at that time. Israel had only been around, 8 years or something like that. Eisenhower was infuriated because he said, here we have the United Nations, and he said, if the United Nations and the principle of national sovereignty is going to be upheld, then nations cannot be allowed to seize by military force another country's territory and be allowed to get away with it. So he said it was a principle. So what he did, and his Secretary of State was John Foster Dulles, who was, John Foster Dulles was one of these elite Wall Street guys, not a good guy, but Eisenhower went to battle and cracked down on Israel. And he gave a speech to the United States on television, to the American public, and called for a resolution where all United Nations members would suspend all government and all private assistance to Israel, cut them off from everything, isolate them completely. That's what he did. He did, and he also put pressure on Great Britain and on France. Now, this is a man who had led the largest military force in world history with the D-Day invasion in World War II, and he won. That's what happened. He won. He made Israel give that Sinai, which was bigger than the state of Israel, back to Egypt. He made them withdraw their entire forces, completely backed them all down. So guess what? It can be done. It can absolutely be done. And what Eisenhower did at that time is really the best example of what could be done today if we wanted to. The thing is that Eisenhower at least recognized it was the nation state, right? That national sovereignty. The problem with Donald Trump is he is transactional. You know, you saw this. He is strictly thinking in money terms. So, like, for example, his statement with regards to the Gulf, where he says, well, we're now protecting the Gulf and everybody's going to have to pay us a fee. And, you know, all of the Gulf states, like a mafia boss, basically, he's telling them that they're going to have to pay to get the oil. Now, he's already had to back off on this 20% fee. He's had to drop that.
Yeah, but Scott Ritter said something interesting. He said that he just helped Iran justify the toll. Trump just did. Yeah. And then Scott Ritter actually today, he said something interesting. He said both Trump and Chinese, they are not predictable. Just like you said, they are transactional because they will see what kind of benefit. So Ritter actually said that he feel that he started this war is to disrupt the energy market. He even used Iran to disrupt the energy market. So by doing that, actually China probably will be impacted the most, on this energy. And then Trump may be betting on the US, we are self-sufficient in the energy. So all this energy crisis or lack of oil or whatnot is going to root out or filter out, the weak people. Only the strong will be left. And I think I can't understand I think China is such a threat to Trump now. I think, again, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just thinking about, and again, because Ritter with right now was my thinking is, even Venezuela is to control the oil going to the teapot of refinery in China. And he think Iran may do the same. But he may try to chew on something that more than he can swallow, So this is one thing that probably Trump didn't expect. Yeah.
Right. Well, so now just remember, China has a larger oil reserve than now the United States. They do.
Yeah.
They've been stockpiling oil for a very long time.
Yeah.
For just this kind of circumstance. And the United States and China are the two largest refining. We have the largest refining capacity of all nations. Just together, we account for at least 36 to 40% of all oil refining capacity.
Yeah, we are huge. Yeah.
Yeah, it's together though. That's what I'm saying. The two together. But see, yeah, I mean, I do think you're right that the Chinese are the target of that. But I don't think it's so much that it's Trump that is in an aggressive fight against China. I think it's this other financial establishment, the Wall Street and London grouping. And unfortunately, there are not enough advisors around President Trump to make that clear to him, because his meeting, well, let's see now, what is it? It's July 14th. You're going to have, let's see here. The President Xi is going to be here in the United States. I think it's in September.
Right.
He's going to be a guest at the White House. And then the G20 is going to be in Miami in December. So you're going to have the Chinese, official Chinese coming to the United States at the highest levels. And I think that when Trump went over there, there were lots of discussions that were had, and there were a lot of deals that were signed. And I mean, look, Elon Musk, whatever you want to say about him, he has been very wise to work in China. And his products, his Tesla and other things are respected. And a lot of the robotics, you know, Johnny, since I saw you when I was in China, I went to the robotics factory that builds the robots that build the Teslas. So these are the arms, and they have these. Basically, it's like Legos, where they have a whole assembly line in a frame that's like a building that you then connect, and that becomes your assembly line, and it's all automated. So I was at the factory. The only that factory was very proud. That company is very proud because President Xi had visited there as well. So I'm very happy because the Chinese government figured out how to get us to go there and visit and see everything that is coming to Austin, Texas from China to build cyber taxis. So there is that working relationship there, but you have that traditional in Wall Street, London grouping that they want to, you know, have China be subservient, Russia too.
Right. But again, I mean, now it's probably in the conspiracy realm, you know. And WenJi and I, we always thinking Trump and Xi and Putin, they may have a very secret cooperation because they have a common enemy or common enemy group, which is the Bank of London, you know, the old British Empire, the oligarch, or whoever the oligarchs still control the, you know, the banking, the system. So by doing this, you know, you kind of create a perception that, you know, China and US, you know, and Russia, they are all fighting with one another. But you also see that there's a lot of, what should I say, a lot of Chinese say a lot of thunder, but no rain. They send大雨生小. I don't know if you heard that or not.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, because you have a lot of thunder, you don't have. I mean, for example, you think about the U.S. resumed the bombing, you know, and that's what Reuters say. We have bombed what? He has said he has no idea what we have bombed. Used to be that they would list the target, what we have accomplished. I mean, or they, you know, show that we bombed some fishing boats or something. I mean, so a lot of things actually, if you really looking at from winning a war perspective, it doesn't really make sense. For example, you station, you know, the Marine, you know, you want immediate invasion, right? I mean, the Sun Tzu say that the longer you keep the troop, the less the morale they will have to fight. You know, when you keep it too long, they don't want to fight anymore. So it's almost everything is kind of staged, you know, with something. That's what I feel is, I mean, they may be working around something, you know, and especially we have been controlled mostly by UK since 1913. I mean financially, Federal Reserve, everything. And how do we break free? Yeah.
Right. Oh, well, okay. So let me say one thing about that. The greatest threat to the continued existence of the United States does not come from a foreign military establishment, doesn't even, I would say that the greatest threat doesn't even come from the London financial establishment. The greatest threat to the United States comes from the American population's ignorance of their own history. So if the American people were imbued with an organic appreciation of their own extraordinary history from 250 years ago, then they would never tolerate the imperial conduct that comes out of Washington, D.C. So let me reference something that I mentioned when I was on RT. July 4th, 1821, John Quincy Adams delivered one of the speeches that is most memorable to this day, which some of the lines are that America goes not abroad in search of monsters to destroy. He said that America that aspires to world leadership, even with noble ideas, can be led astray under those conditions and would become a dictator and would lose the ruler, would fail to be able to rule itself. So now what you have is that the U.S. is acting on behalf of this financial establishment like a global dictatorship. Lindsey Graham, with the various wars that he has helped to get the United States into over and over again, has represented that global dictatorship doctrine. He and Richard Blumenthal have this bill, Sanctioning Russia Act, Senate Bill 1241, where they have recruited 84 senators to co-sponsor this. Now, think about this. Who are the enemies of Donald Trump? Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, Richard Blumenthal, for example. Well, guess what? This bill has all of these guys supporting it, with now the late Lindsey Graham. And now President Trump is saying he's going to support this sanction bill against Russia. So here's the thing with Americans. Americans are frustrated about their Congress. They want to see bipartisan cooperation. But the only time that we get to see the Congress cooperate is when it's against our own interests. Yeah. The Congress works together against us. Yeah. So that's why the U.S. Congress officially has the lowest popularity of any government agency that exists, because when push comes to shove, the Congress only works against the benefit of the population and on behalf of the military industrial complex or the pharmaceutical industrial media Wall Street complex. And so that's the thing, is that the American people, they don't have a good sense of their history. That's why I mentioned Eisenhower. That's why I mentioned John Quincy Adams, because John Quincy Adams really, what he said was an indictment of this constant looking for wars that we have become. And that's it's just a money thing. It's not personal. It's just a money thing, the wars.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Now, yeah, go ahead.
What additional sanctions they can put on Russia? Lindsey Graham has been talking about it for a very long time, right? Like a secondary. I don't even know what does that mean. Like to sanction other countries that work, that works with Russia, because there's nothing to, we already sanctioned Russia for almost everything, right? We didn't even let them to go to the World Cup.
Right. So yeah, so partly it's what you said, right? Secondary sanctions. So there's secondary sanctions. There's transfer of energy products that go to Russia. Now here's the funny thing though about that, is that Europe, right, has spent something like $56 billion. I'm let's see if I can find it real quickly. I was looking at this. This was in the London Telegraph just in the last day. Yep, here it is. So Europe has handed 6 billion euros to Russia this year by buying record amounts of natural gas from a Siberian plant. Russia's Yamal export hub has sent 136 tankers of liquefied natural gas to European nations just in the first half of this year. Largest volumes going to France, Belgium, and Spain. So, in fact, that's the reality. So if it's secondary sanctions, well, guess what? Now we have to sanction all of Europe. See, this is the problem. This is where the transactional side of the imperial thinking is such a problem. And this is where I would. Go ahead, Johnny. What were you saying?
No, but it's because sometimes, I kind of thinking the opposite. If you are pushing something not going to work, you are actually helping the opponent. And let me give you one example. In
Absolutely.
2016, US, and when Trump was the president, he sanctioned a lot against Chinese technology or what US can export to China. A lot of things, even, the whatever, the iPhone operational system, whatever. Actually, the Chinese kind of love that. Actually, some friend in Shenzhen actually told me that he actually called Trump 川建国. 川建国, 建国 is established the nation, which means the Trump is like a patriot to China or something like that, affectionately, okay? He said that Trump actually sells Shenzhen's electronic industry because of all the, whatever, what should it betray or whatnot, and kind of a decrease of the need. The Shenzhen actually become less and less popular because they were all dependent on foreign technology. They can use whatever Apple or US, give it to them. But since being sanctioned, the Chinese need to develop their own.
Yes.
And actually make them self-sufficient.
Yeah.
So now the Chinese have their own, supply chain.
Like Huawei has exploded to be a huge company.
Yeah. And they say that this is all thanks to Trump's trade and sanction policy. So I always thinking about this way. I say, I don't think Trump is intentionally doing that. But by pushing forward a bad policy, actually helping your enemy. The same thing applied to Iran war too. By fighting a war, you will not win. Trump say, I think now it's what Lindsey Graham, where the heck could make Iran great again? This war really make Iran great again. Forgive me to say that, if anything, Iran now is like considered one of the superpower now.
And Iran is going to control the
number one in the Middle East.
Trade.
No doubt.
Yeah, who were Iran? Nobody cared, but now they are like everybody looking at them, either affectionately or hostilely. But
yeah, well, go back to what you were saying about the war, and you were saying that Scott Ritter doesn't even know who or what they've been.
Same kind of bombing, yeah.
They didn't even know what targets they've been hitting. Now think about this: Iran only has like 10 targets. That's all they need to hit. Yeah. There's huge numbers of targets inside Iran, but you have like the Fifth Fleet. You have a couple of bases in Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Jordan. There's just a handful of places that Iran needs to attack. And I was looking at some of these videos in Jordan today, where drones, ballistic, what is it? King Faisal Air Base in Jordan. King Faisal Air Base. So what you have is all the Patriot systems are failing. One ballistic missile is coming through after the other. Now, there was something earlier, though, you were talking about oil that I discussed with Larry Johnson. And that was this question of Saudi Arabia, because there is something like 4, 5, 6 billion barrels of oil that is going out through the Red Sea from Saudi Arabia. Yeah. Well, now guess what? There was Saudis struck an airport, and for no reason. So now the Yemenis have counterattacked Aba Airport, and they can now go and shut down Bandar Abbas so that none of Saudi oil can get out. So to your point, what you're saying, Johnny, is Iran is absolutely dominant in the region, and all these countries need to work with Iran. Yeah. And the country that is best suited to work out good relations is China, because they have the industrial capacity to help rebuild the region. The United States does not have that industrial capacity.
Right. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I mean, and then Trump has been saying we don't want to be the cop, for the world. We got to withdraw our troop. In a sense, I mean, he is accomplishing it, gradually, probably not intentionally, but if you don't have a base, I mean, this bombing campaign really is very peculiar to me because I don't see a lot of tanker flying around. It was almost like they bomb it down symbolically. I mean, I don't even see too many videos about that.
Oh, you mean from the United States?
From the United States. And
yeah,
actually,
I don't think we know what we're hitting, actually.
Yeah,
I think
yeah. And there was one target that the Iran was very angry, was that is one of the oil field or whatever energy facility was bombed. And Iran immediately said that we are going to retaliate it. And then the CENTCOM almost say that, no, we didn't do it. So, and then obviously other people say Israel did it or the UAE did it, So well, it's very interesting. I mean,
if we were serious about taking Iran, we would put boots on the ground. The problem is, you need 500,000 soldiers to even begin to have a landing.
Yeah, I mean, even Okinawa, I think we send about 250,000 soldiers.
Yeah, I mean, but it's from southern Iran to get anywhere, it's a very long distance. So,
oh no, I don't think
there's no protection. So there's no way. And Trump was saying, well, I can take Karg Island, but to what end? What does taking Karg Island do? It's a shipping facility. It's not. They have some tanks to offload onto a ship to go out to the ocean. So there's nothing there. And also, what you were saying about China. China has built up, and so has Russia. But I think that this is not because Trump is playing 3D chess, 4D chess. He's not playing chess. I think people are simply saying, see, we believe in air war. So people are saying, oh, all you have to do is just, tire them out. And these countries have been preparing for this. I mean, look, we're such a disappointment to the rest of the world. I was looking at Vietnam. We really need to get the United States to go back to its tradition. Ho Chi Minh in 1945, he gave a speech when he became, he declared independence, Vietnamese independence from the French. And he started by reading the American Declaration of Independence. That is really what the world is looking to. And if we were to embrace that American tradition, then I think Russia, China, I think even Iran would immediately want to work with the United States in a peaceful way. But right now, Larry was saying, in terms of the oil, the bulk of what the U.S. Is able to refine is the sour crude. But out of the sour crude is what you get your diesel and your jet fuel,
right?
Which is definitely critical. But that's what is short now in the world.
Yeah, we have more sweet and sour. Yeah, but the diesel and the kerosene, they are more important for the industry.
That's right, for industry.
Yeah, but that's why Venezuela will help, because they are pretty sour oil.
Yeah, but what comes out of the Middle East is not that.
Yeah, Middle East, actually, it depends.
Sweet.
A lot of things are very sweet. Yeah, they are.
Mm-hmm. So it doesn't affect China. And then there was something else that you were saying about Iran being the major powerhouse. There's a new train route between China and Iran, so it used to be the case that heavy shipments would come by ship from China and then come up through the Straits of Malacca and then would cross over. So basically, heavy shipments to Iran would take 30 to 40 days. This new train route bypasses that completely.
Yeah.
So and it's 15 days. 15 days.
Yeah.
So what's happening is that slowly you have these group of nations that see physical development and cooperation. Plus, if they transact, for example, India was transacting for Russian oil in different currencies. So then the sanctions don't even matter anymore because they simply say, well, we'll just use a different currency.
Or current platform. I mean, that's what I'm trying to say. I mean, Iran really is shaking off the dollar, whatever the SWIFT control. US, in a sense, is shaking off neocons. I mean, like it or not, I mean, the neocon is not very popular now. I mean, even Trump say, well, that's the only mega left, actually. I mean, I actually don't buy it at all.
There's still plenty of neocons, though. That's the thing.
I know. Yeah, I mean, it is almost like, I don't know. I mean, a lot of time, I kind of studied Trump a little bit. He liked to do the opposite. Now, he appeared he wanted to do something, but he always tried to accomplish the opposite. I think he, like it or not, as I look back, he has effectively shaking off a lot of influence on the United States. I mean, the UK empire, the Israel, influence or something. He actually put such, bad reputation on that. Is like, I mean, maybe the
I mean, definitely. I will say this: Republicans definitely are not universally thrilled with Israel anymore.
Yeah, and like the only thing, the boomers are fading away, right? But now is the Gen X and the millennial. I mean, they have a very total different, and I'm actually glad it's the Gen X and the millennial because they are probably the most independent thinking group now, which will be kind of taking over. So
wait, you guys are Gen X, aren't you?
No, I'm boomer. I'm the last one of the boomer.
I'm Gen X.
Yeah, I know you're Gen X.
I'm Gen X.
WenJi is also.
Oh, okay, well, you look young too, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm the last. I'm 63. I'm born in 63. I think that I'm the last year of the boomer. Yeah.
Okay. I see.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying but most my friends, they are older than me, so they are always Israel, Trump, mega, and I kind of don't fit in that group anymore. So after the Iran war, I mean, I just like what the.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is, I don't know how the history will treat this period of time. I know Trump definitely is not. I mean, he's speaking a fantasy. We are winning or everything. I don't buy it at all. But I also say that. But this guy, I mean, he is like bull in the China shop. He is breaking a lot of things into pieces. And maybe that's what.
Maybe that's good, huh? Is that
yeah, maybe yeah. I mean, remember, Ryan, we have a discussion. When the Iran war started, and then you say that, I say to you that I have a bad feeling about this. You say you too, and then you actually say something interesting. You say, Johnny, I think we needed this. We need this.
Right. Well, so, they called it perestroika in Russia, right? When the Soviet Union fell. WenJi, I was 16 years old when I was in Russia in 1991. And it had just begun to collapse and really get bad for people over there. And then it was a number of years, and then President Putin came in and took the country in a different direction. I mean, I do think sometimes we need to go through something like that.
Similar. Yeah.
I don't know if we are. I mean, we haven't been largely without electricity or food or, things like that in this country in a very long time. So, and because we don't know the basic fundamentals of how you build a country, how you build an economy, how you build your way out of things, it could be more devastating. I mean, we'll see. We have a history we have to get back to. I think that if you look at everything that you've said about Iran, then you go look at the situation with Ukraine. Europe is absolutely going for war with Russia. And I had been thinking for some time that it was like the lead up to World War I, where people were just stumbling along and getting into the war. But actually, former Brigadier General Erich Vod, who was an advisor to Angela Merkel, he said it's completely different now. He said they're completely allowing themselves to openly defend that Stepan Bandera Nazi element in Ukraine. The Europeans are doing that. So therefore, they know exactly what they're doing. It's not like World War I. They are going all at it. But the fact is that they actually can't get it. They cannot get. They don't have any basis to go to war with Ukraine. And Russia is just constantly moving forward on the battlefield right now. Every single thing that they're doing is winning. And you have these bee stings with the drones, but very soon, I don't know if you're aware of this, but they just uncovered a big operation in the middle of Russia where a number of drones, basically the Ukrainians had a drone base in the middle of Russia in the Urals. They had a drone base. What they were doing is that they were dropping, they had high altitude drones that were dropping smaller drones in the middle of Russia. And then they were putting them in trucks that were basically fake trucks. So they had false bottoms, things like that, where they were picking them up. The FSB just literally found the entire operation and shut it down. So this is fascinating. I think that very soon they're going to crack Starlink again. Furthermore, China has a version of Starlink that has now there, and I'm trying to remember what it's called. Maybe you know what it is.
Beidou.
No. What is it called? So
Chang'e, I don't know. Yeah,
I'm trying to remember. There is a different. Anyway, they have some 200 satellites. It's not as many as what is in Starlink, but they now have something very similar, which is going to assist Russia on the battlefield.
郭往 and 前方.
Chengfan, G60. Okay. But that one only has about 18 satellites.
Yeah. And
Starlink has almost 8,000 satellites, but there is still space sail.
Yeah. But 前方 want to
small.
Their target is 15,000.
Yeah.
LEO, and then 国光
space sail. Space sail. They're looking for having they right now they only have 300 or 400 satellites in low Earth orbit. But you know just as well as I do how quickly that they can develop these technologies and move them. You know, it's moving. All I'm saying is it's moving. Russia simply has to keep going forward. Iran has 10 targets. They just have to keep resisting. And then you have the fact is that we have a $250 billion derivatives bubble that we're sitting on here in the West, the financial bubble with the derivatives. And we don't have, none of the financial institutions in the West have the assets to keep it going. In my view, that's why the war strategy is going, because they have to try to destabilize these countries. You know, they're going to try to use Taiwan the way that they're using Ukraine. But the issue is the military-industrial complex, which is really a front for this Wall Street. They want to try to bring the money in to keep that bubble going. War is just a means to keep the financial bubble going. So with Graham gone, I mean, it's not really going to be, people are happy about it, but it's not going to change anything till we change the way we think.
Johnny,
Ryan, sorry, I told WenJi I have a 9 o'clock lesson.
No, it's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay.
I
It's good
really
talking
enjoyed
to you,
it.
Johnny.
Really enjoy it. Yeah, but so we got to do it again when we
Johnny, let me ask you real quick. Where are you again? What part
in
of the
Virginia.
United States?
I'm in
You're in
Virginia.
Virginia.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We all need to get together and have some Mau Tai.
Yes.
That's
we
very
got to
expensive.
send you that video. I got to send you that video. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Ciao. I got to
Sounds
go.
good. Sounds good.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Johnny's learning Japanese.
Wow.
Like, yeah, I told him, like, you still learning? I cannot learn any language anymore. Are you still learning? Are you learning Russian?
I'm still learning Russian.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I study. I have 2 lessons a week, and I read I try to read multiple times a week in Russian.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a tough language.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very tough.
Not as hard as Mandarin or Cantonese.
Cantonese is very tough. Like,
It's the hardest, I think.
I cannot speak it.
I think it's the hardest. You speak Mandarin, right?
I speak Mandarin, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, you only have 1 hour too, right? So maybe we talk
Yep.
next time.
Yep. Hey, it was good to talk to you.
Good talk to you too. Like
All
today,
right.
the White House posted the, kind of like a cute post. It says, trust the plan. So I was thinking maybe Trump is winning by losing.
It's okay. Winning by losing is not always the worst. So, all right.
All right.
Humility can win.
Yes. In the end, right?
In the end, yes. All right, WenJi, take care.
Yeah. Bye.
See you later.